just one big story, isn't it?
Hi everyone, welcome to the Story Connection. My name is Donna Wahlberg and I'll be your host this evening. Now everyone has a story, and whether it's truth or fiction, there's usually a really good story behind the story. Tonight we've invited CEO of webmarketpower.com, Jason Ring, to share his story with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself before we launch into the story you're going to share with everyone tonight.
Well, like you said, I own webmarketpower.com. It's essentially a website that allows me to collect clients that I can help them with their website, with marketing and promotions and online, basically online SEO type stuff.
Well, that's kind of a little story that they're putting out there too, the story about what they do and
right.
through the
it is.
website.
I mean, a website in a sense is designed after a book. You have the title of the book, which is the name of the website, and then you have the contents, which are the links within.
So you have another story though that you'd like to share, and we met at a mixer, and when you shared it with me, I was just totally compelled. I just wanted to jump right in and just help you do whatever it takes to get the story out because it's beautiful. So why don't you tell everybody about the project you're ready to launch into and how you got started in that?
Sure. And it's kind of an idea that's been floating around in my head for quite some time, and it's only come to fruition in the recent weeks. The direction, the focus is narrowed, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it all started when I was much younger. I was 9 or 10 years old, and my dad introduced us to an uncle that I didn't know I had on my dad's side of the family, who was going through some alcoholism problems, and my dad had a compassionate heart and wanted to try to help him and get sober and get a job and try to get a new start on life. And his name was Bob Vandy Rostein, and my parents took me aside and explained to me that he went through some really traumatic times. And essentially, his wife and 3 kids were on a mountainside road and were in a car accident, and 2 of his children passed away. And
that's tragic.
It was horrible to hear, and essentially he wasn't able to cope with it very well, and the marriage ended, and he took to the bottle and ended up becoming homeless. And it was really hard to see somebody who had gone through so much to now then waste his life away with alcoholism. But at the same time, a part of me understood why, as horrible as it is.
Yeah.
Because it's a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah.
My dad did get him sober for a while, and he did work with my dad for a while, and seemed to be doing pretty good. And he occasionally would fall off the wagon, and it got to the point where it happened so many times that my family basically had to let him know that we can't have this around our children.
Yeah.
And they released him on his way again. And it was maybe a few years later that his surviving daughter, who was now 12 years old, had contracted leukemia.
Oh, gee.
And she ultimately passed away too. And it was about 5 years ago. I'm 41 now, so a lot of time has passed. About 5 years ago, I heard that he was found somewhere on the side of the road and had expired.
Oh, wow.
So that story, in combination with living downtown here in Sacramento, I've seen a lot of homeless people, who, and I wonder in my mind, at least, what is their story?
Yeah.
What led them to this place? What was the trigger in their life that brought them to this ultimate, place of homelessness? So in working in film a little bit over the years and doing some voiceover work, I've had the opportunity to make some really great connections, you included.
Thank you.
I decided to formulate kind of a project to sit down with selected homeless people here in Sacramento and delve back into their past and kind of find out what led them to where they are today.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I hoped to inspire people to humanize them, to let other people know that these are people too.
Right. And there's, like you said, there's a story. There's a story there.
Yeah.
People just don't end up on the streets all by themselves.
No.
You know, and whether, you know, like you said, you know, your uncle went through a difficult, you know, trying to get sober and things like that. Yeah, people fail, you know, but go on. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. And and my uncle, he was homeless, so he was begging on the street, and I'm sure he dealt with a lot of different scenarios that were unpleasant. And I think if people knew his story, they would be more apt to help him.
Yeah.
So another instance, when I was younger, I had a doctor who had a button on his lapel, and that button said, "Kids are people too." And
Wow.
I remember that sticking with me in my mind. And whenever he would speak to me, he would kneel down to my level and communicate with me as if I'm an equal. And this project that I want to do, this film project that I want to do, in a sense, I want to make people realize that while they are homeless and they may pester you a lot, they still are people too. And the least that we can do as citizens is turn to them and acknowledge them and maybe even strike up a conversation.
Mm-hmm. That's asking a lot, you know, for some people, and for some people it just comes so naturally. You want to know, how did you get there? What can I do to help?
Yes.
So, that's what the show is all about, to talk about everybody's story, to tell these stories, and to see what we can do to have some happy endings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this project, what have you started? What do you have? What have you got going so far? And what are your needs?
Well, so far I've laid out a synopsis of kind of the way that I want to lay out the documentary. I'm expecting the running time to be no more than 45 minutes. I have an interviewer that will sit down with a couple of the homeless people that we select to do a full-blown interview of their life. And I also want to do some kind of guerrilla footage out in the streets, showing the struggle, what they go through day to day.
Yeah. It's funny because, in talking about this, when you think about how brave they are and how they struggle to survive, they're amazing.
Absolutely.
Who can live through those conditions? And most of them are broken or dealing with some sort of mental illness or some issues. A lot of people became homeless when the financial situation changed in the last few years. But I really commend you for taking on this project.
No,
it's going to be
thank
great.
you. I really look forward to it.
Yeah.
I know that there's that saying that we're all just a few paychecks away from being homeless.
Yes.
And that came true over the housing market crash. So many people had lost their homes, everything.
Yeah.
And they had to seek refuge. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of services out there to handle everyone. So there is people left on the streets, where in Sacramento it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are homeless were also veterans who fought for our country. And I know there's some statistics out there nationwide that 12% of the homeless are veterans who suffer from PTSD, and 9% of them are actually female.
Wow. I didn't know that.
We just learned that recently, and I know that in Sacramento, with our county funding depleting and and many of the resources at their, stretched at their limit, there's not a lot of help for these people on the streets. So they do resort to begging, they do resort to digging in our trash cans, but they do what they have to do to survive.
Absolutely.
So this project that I'm doing, I'm calling it I'm a Person Too, kind of based off of that button.
Yeah.
And I want to at least project a sense to people that, pay a little more attention to them, acknowledge them, say hello, maybe engage them before they engage you. And I'm not saying pull out your wallet and give them money, but give them some kindness.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it may make a stronger difference in their life than handing out money or telling them to go away.
Yeah. I've got a little story to share about a homeless person. You make assumptions about people too.
Yeah.
When they're down and out, and when you see somebody walking around talking to themselves, you assume, oh, they're dangerous, they're off their rocker. You don't think really kind things about them. You just kind of want to keep away. When in fact, when you start thinking about the veterans that have PTSD, when you start thinking about them being cut off their prescriptions and things that have happened to them, we've kind of created some of these issues.
Absolutely.
Society has. And, it just doesn't seem fair. But I was, your heart breaks to see, especially the older people.
Yeah.
I know, my bones ache when it gets cold outside, and here they are, and it's freezing cold, and they have very little for shelter and whatnot. But I gave this man some money, and, he said to me, oh, now I can give it to my friend. He needs medicine because he's really, really sick. Things like you don't think of people being so generous and kind-hearted, but they are.
Yeah.
And if you stop and you listen to their stories, it's just you're going to have a whole different perspective.
It can be definitely inspiring.
Yeah.
This is probably about 4 years ago or so. It's an image that sticks in my mind that I'll never forget. I was walking home. It was late at night. We were out, at a nightclub or something, and it was very cold out. I remember it was down into the 20s, and it was near Christmas time. And I seen a homeless person curled up in a doorway, and he was asleep on the cold pavement, and next to his head was a beautifully wrapped present.
Wow.
And I stopped and I took a picture of that because I never wanted to forget it. And it reminded me that there is kindness in this world. There is people that will go that extra mile. And in a sense, this project, I want it to be just a reminder, because sometimes we forget that there is people in this world that deserve kindness and deserve some acknowledgement. And it will do their heart good, and it will do ours as well.
I believe that, especially, now people are starting to realize there's a shift going on, and it's time to start paying a little bit more attention to the things that really matter. And kindness is one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It goes a long ways.
Yeah, it does.
So the project is in the beginnings stages. But I know I will need, a cinematographer, and some lighting, and maybe a PA, and then in the end, definitely a good editor. But we're trying to keep it as light as possible, and keep in mind post-production while we're filming, so that we don't have a lot of edit work to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's basically what we're going to need.
Now, once you have this project finished, where do you expect to take this?
Well, my company, Web Market Power, is essentially allows me to push projects out into the world using social media and
Mm-hmm.
marketing, and that's kind of what my company is built around. So I will definitely be doing that. But whatever other film, the CFAA, and
Yeah,
they
the film
work with the
festivals.
film festivals.
Mhm.
So I may want to submit it to them as well.
Well, it sounds like a fabulous project, and I'm wishing you lots and lots of luck, and I'll do whatever I can to help because I think it's very important. It's just totally important.
Thank you.
So the story behind the story, is very compelling as well. To be affected by something when you're a child,
Yeah.
and to carry that with you. So tell us a little bit more about why you felt this was so special with your uncle. What was so special about him?
Well, once he got sober, I realized he was super funny.
Yeah.
And he really latched onto me and my two younger brothers. I think in hindsight now, looking back, that he felt a connection to us, out of the loss of his own children.
Mm-hmm.
I had a nickname. He called me Jason Burger. I don't know why. But he called my middle brother Barney Google and my youngest brother Robbie Slobby Corn on the Cobby. It was just his sense of humor, and he was a really kind person, really good person, and he didn't suffer any major mental issues, but obviously there was some stress disorder with the loss of his children. It could have been PTSD in
Absolutely.
a different way,
Yeah.
but he's fondly remembered in our household.
Oh, that's good. So did you tell stories about him?
Probably not ones I can share here, because I'll tell you, on the street, there's crazy stories that he shared with me that probably my parents don't even know. Back then, he'd pull me aside, like, I got a story for you. And then he would be my cool uncle, telling me the stories that he probably shouldn't have told me at such a young age. But, no, I mean, other than it, the time that he'd spent at our house and the joy that he'd brought our family during his sober moments, and also the lessons that he taught me at a young age, seeing him out of control.
Yeah.
It really gave me true focus into the human condition and the mind and how fragile it is. And more recently, this last Christmas, I decided to do something. I didn't really have big plans on Christmas, and I put a Facebook post out there, and this is something that everybody can do. I put a Facebook post out there saying that I was going to go out and buy a bunch of pizzas and possibly get some donated and hand out slices of pizza to the homeless on Christmas Eve if anybody wanted to join me. And I had a friend, Courtney, who came down from, she was actually in El Dorado Hills. She just got done skiing that day, so she was tired, but she's like, I'm in. And she drove all the way down to Sacramento, and I had called Little Caesars Pizza and asked them if they would donate some pizzas if I bought 10 or so, and they said they would.
Sweet.
And I went to a dollar store and I picked up 4 cases of bottled water, and Little Caesars donated a bunch of paper plates and napkins and a few extra pizzas, and we went out and just handed out slices of pizza to the homeless, and it was such a rewarding experience.
You make me cry. Oh, wow.
It was such a rewarding experience. We just zigzagged through town. I got to meet a bunch of homeless people and engage with them, and I learned where a lot of them sleep, and it's in plain sight, but it's so overlooked. It's in areas of Midtown that you would never know that that's where 5 people are sleeping, behind walls, underneath overpasses. But that's their home, and that's where they're at. And we probably fed nearly 50 people, and most all of them were very hungry because it was on Christmas Eve, and most of the services that are out there, I think, were probably shut down early for their own families. So it was definitely a need, and I was really happy to fulfill it. And in doing that, it inspired me to kind of take this next step.
Yeah. Well, gosh, that's going to be great. You know, just the fact that you're compassionate about this, you know, just makes me really feel that you're the right person for the job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how many people have you talked to so far that are willing to, the homeless that are willing to participate?
I've talked to about 5 different individuals. 2 of them are seen around town quite a bit. One of them's name's Brother Jay. He calls himself Brother Jay. And he's like this long-haired Rastafari type guy who always has a really big smile on his face, and he sells incense. It used to be that he made his own incense, but now he buys packs of incense, and he offers that in trade for financial gain, like you know, $1 or $2 or whatever, and he'll give you a whole handful.
Yeah.
And that's Brother Jay, and he's agreed to be a part of the project. And I know that he's been homeless for at least 20 years because I've seen him here in Midtown for that long. And one other gentleman who really hit me hard. He's 53, right around 53 years old. He's been on the streets for a long time. He told me that he would be happy to share his story. And he asked me when this project would start. And I told him, well, it's still in the very beginning stages, but I'd hope to get some shooting done within the next few months.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, that would work. And I noticed the tone of his voice, and I had asked him, are you going to be out of town, or is there these, he explained to me that he was dying of AIDS.
Oh my goodness.
So that just kind of struck me as like, you know, here's somebody out there who is an absolute pleasant person when you meet him, a gentleman. And if anybody has a story, it's certainly him, and I hope to capture it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we give your information?
Yeah, if anybody wants to contact me, they're welcome to, that want to be a part of the project. 916-759-4398. Webmarketpower.com is my website. Webmarketpower@gmail.com is my email. You can reach me at Twitter at WebMarketPower or Facebook at WebMarketPower.
Great. All righty. Well, let's give a little bit of information about the Story Connection, shall we?
The Story Connection airs the second and fourth Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Our companion show, Paranormal Connection, airs the first and third Thursdays of each month. Each episode repeats the following Friday at 1:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 a.m. You can watch these programs online at the same airtimes by going to accesssacramento.org and clicking Watch 17, or you can watch us on Comcast Channel 17 in the Sacramento region and on AT&T Channel 99. For information on upcoming shows and previous Story Connection guests, go to storyconnectiontv.blogspot.com. You can contact us at storyconnectiontv@gmail.com, and don't forget, join us on Facebook, become a friend, and become a fan.
Okay, well, in the few minutes that we have to wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to put out there as far as what your needs are? Why don't you repeat that so
Sure.
everybody knows
Yeah,
how
I'm
they can help?
definitely going to need some people that are here locally in Midtown that have access to camera, lighting, sound, and then in the post-production, we're definitely going to need to do some edit work. Although, as I said before, we want to kind of keep the project guerrilla style, keep it loose, so there's not a lot of post-production work or edit work. But in general, we have a need for a PA, maybe a couple of assistants, to kind of help get everything structured. Anybody that might have night vision camera would be great, because there's going to be times where I want to see some camps,
Yeah.
at night, and that probably would be a necessity. So, and anybody who would like to donate towards a project too, it would be great if they contact me, and it would definitely help us, streamline things.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're on your way. And are you going to be doing the interviewing?
Actually, Kelly Taylor is a friend of mine, and she's going to sit down and do some of the narration. I will probably do at the tail end maybe an announcement to kind of wrap things up, and then I have a friend, Anthony Dewan, who volunteered to do some voiceover work if he'd like, because he's always wanted to voice over a project, and I told him that'd be great. I'd love to have him a
Great.
part of it.
Super. Well, I wish you a lot of luck, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us, and whatever we can do to help.
It's my
Okay.
pleasure, and I
Okay.
really enjoyed being here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Story Connection, and we'll be out there. So if somebody comes up and asks you what your story is, you can guarantee that it's going to be heard. Okay. So good night, everybody. Thank you.